Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
You always split the earnings with her.
Well, I felt that the lady agreement we had was null and void.
You can't win the $2,000 without the $50 pass and the
I
access.
could have gotten another $50 pass. It wasn't like she was giving it to me.
In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Audrey Adams claims she's owed half of the defendant's bingo winnings after agreeing to split the cost of the bingo cards. Ms. Adams is suing Rosemary Cantwell in the amount of $1,000.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Thomas. I have an aunt who is a fiend when it comes to bingo. She will cut you over a bingo card, all right? And you all are fighting over this bingo card that you actually won.
No.
But you feel as though you won.
I won.
Let's talk about what happened
She's like
here.
your aunt.
All right, go ahead.
2 years ago, we decided to start attending bingo tournaments.
It is a lot of fun.
The way it works is that we would go on Sunday evenings.
Yes.
We would purchase the ticket, which was $25 1 week before.
You've been purchasing $25 bingo cards a week for 2 years.
Well,
Alternating.
Back and forth.
Alternating.
Alternating.
All right, so what is that? That's about $100 a month, 12 months. That's about $1,200 a year. And have you had any success?
We have won 3 times over the last 2 years.
Okay.
And we get 6 cards for the $25. We sit together, 3
Okay.
cards each.
Got it.
And 3 times over the last 2 years, we have won and we have split the winnings 50-50.
Is there any disputing that, Ms. Cantwell, that,
No, but the enjoyment part of it was in the past.
oh, got a little chilly in here all of a sudden. What happened?
Well, we were supposed to go to bingo on the night in question. 1 hour before we were supposed to go, she calls and says, I can't make it. My sciatica's bothering me.
Does she have a sciatica problem?
It comes and it goes. When it comes, it's awfully
It hits
painful.
hard. Yeah.
On the day of the tournament, it started in the morning, and all day I kept wanting to go to this tournament.
And you're like, I'm gonna plow through. And
I'm going to do it, but it wasn't getting any better.
How many previous times has she canceled on you?
Well, the first year, not at all. But in the last 6 months, has to be the 3rd or 4th time.
Okay.
It's very frustrating.
Do you feel as though it was done intentional? Do you still think she was lying?
I think there were some hiccups in this relationship prior to that evening.
And what do you think the hiccups were?
Well, my eyesight isn't great anymore, so I don't have a driver's license, and I feel that I have been a burden to her of late.
What do you say to that issue?
Well, it's
and I
true.
want you to look at this one particular issue before we go any further.
I don't mind driving her, but sometimes I'm sure I was tired of doing it. But it also could have been that maybe sometimes I have been edgy with Rosemary because I don't feel well. Sometimes with the pain, you just get a little bit
And
uptight.
everything kind of gets on your nerves. You called her an hour before you were supposed to
I
go.
did. It
And
was
what'd you
1
say to
hour
her?
before. And I said, I can't do it. I'm in pain. I cannot go. I'm sorry. I can't pick you up. I can't go. I'm going to have to stay home this evening.
Okay.
Rosemary was upset with me. It was 1 hour before, but I kept
Did
trying
you guys have
all
a
day.
little
back and
tete-a-tete,
forth,
back and forth
back
there?
and forth, back and forth. She was very upset with me.
This is
Yes.
not the language that came across the phone that night.
I'm sure it was a little bit more
There were B's
colorful.
and A's and S's, and it was not the language of a
But they were
Christian
not
woman.
addressed to her.
You weren't being your normal Christian self when you were having this conversation. Now, she's already said, though, all bets are off when she's in pain, right?
Right.
And you probably felt like, okay, now I'm having to defend that I'm sick. Why am I having to do this with you? And then that's when the language got a little colorful. Fair enough?
Fair.
Ultimately, you end up getting to the bingo party.
because
Yes.
of the good graces of my son.
Okay. And did he take you over to the bingo?
Well, I called her. I didn't want to just show up, especially after having the phone slammed
Why did
down.
you need to come over to her house? If
She had the pass. We buy the pass a week in advance to get into the bingo game.
you can't get in without that pass.
Well, I
I
would
had
have had
purchased the $50 ticket
Yes,
this time
but I
around.
purchased the one the week
I thought it
before
was
and 2 weeks
$25.
after.
This was a special anniversary event at the bingo parlor, and it was $50. And the
Normally it's 25. On
Normally
this
it's
particular
25. This
case,
was $50
for the same 6 cards.
But
Right.
the prize
But
money
this-
was higher.
This
The prize
time around
money
it
was
was
higher.
50 because
Yes.
they were doing donations and so forth, and so I paid for it this time. And Rosemary agreed that she would pay the two $25 ones the next
Afterwards.
two times.
Because every other week you alternate.
Correct.
So if you paying 50, that means the next 2 times you pay 25.
Correct.
And I was
Your
fine.
son comes and picks you up, takes you there.
Well, I called her. She
No,
was
I got
I
all
had the
that.
ticket.
Ultimately, you're at the house with your son. You pick up the card.
right. She throws it out the door.
She throws it out the door.
throw it.
Okay. She felt like it was being
I
thrown
felt
at
like
her.
throwing it, but
Right.
I was
You threw it.
upset.
You were upset.
threw it.
You didn't just say, "Have a great time at bingo tonight."
Oh, no. No, 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 no,
Sort
no,
of.
no.
Coming up on America's Court.
You always split the earnings with her.
Well, we had Armageddons that earlier, so I figured all lady
are all.
agreements
Pardon the
were.
pun.
Well, I felt that the lady agreement we had was null and void.
And later,
So there was a month that he didn't pay anything.
It was when he lost his job and when he came back and
You lost the factory job or the driving job?
I lost a factory job.
Why did you lose the factory job?
I was late.
closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Audrey Adams, who is suing Rosemary Cantwell for breach of contract.
You go to bingo, and I take it you win.
Well, we come in late, so we have to play hurry up. Now, there's very little places to sit.
Did you win?
My son did.
Your son did. How much? And he won how much?
$2,000,
$2,000.
but it was the cards that were mine with the pass that wasn't his. So we did a little happy dance.
Okay.
And he gave it to me.
Okay. And you always split the earnings with her.
Well, we had Armageddons that earlier, so I figured all lady
Bets are
agreements
all. Pardon
were.
the pun.
Well, I felt that the lady agreement we had was null and void.
You can't win the $2,000 without the $50 pass and the
I
access.
could have gotten another $50 pass. It wasn't like she was giving it to me.
If
It
you-
was mine
if-
and
well,
hers
then you
at the
could have
time.
gone directly to the location, but you decided to go.
I live on a pension, sir. $50 is a lot of money.
Well, which one is it? Could you have paid the money? Or
I
did you
could
need-
have, but it would have been
but
a hardship.
you chose to go to get the monies that she had already exhausted, and that card reflected the $50 that she had put
Right,
into
while
the
she
kitty.
sat at home
Was there
with her
ever a
feet up.
situation where you guys didn't split the profits?
This is the first.
Okay, I understand. You won $2,000, and you don't want to give her any of it?
Well, the ladies' agreement was alternating purchases.
I understand
Winnings
the agreement.
get split 50%.
Do you feel she's entitled
she
to
didn't
anything?
come. Your
Is she
Honor,
entitled
you
to
have
anything?
to show up to win.
Okay, so you're saying she's not entitled to anything?
Oh, no, no,
Rosemary
no, no,
was
no.
offering me $500.
I thought
Did
that
you
was.
offer her $500?
I offered her $500.
Why $500?
Well, I thought it was nice. She didn't show up. She had been unpleasant. I didn't want this friendship to end. This friendship is.
Doesn't have to end.
Well, then she can call you the next time and call you some names.
And call you what?
Some bad names.
All right.
I did not call you bad names.
If
but I did
if she
say
called you
words.
bad names at this point in your life, I'm sure they're names that you've heard before in the course of people having
Not
conversation.
directed at me an hour before.
Fair enough. Then stop being friends.
Thank you.
Okay.
We
no
have.
problem. No
So,
more friendship.
I'm giving her $500 because this is a 90% increase on her $50 investment.
Got it.
And we're not friends.
Got it.
Then I thought I would give my son $750, because he was with me and he helped win, and because he's been on hard times lately.
He needs the money.
He needs
and
the
you
money.
keep $750.
And I keep $750.
All right.
I thought this was quite generous.
Your
All
Honor,
right.
I'm here because at the beginning of our arrangement of going to bingo tournaments, we had an oral contract, an oral agreement that if we would win, we would always split it 50-50.
Okay.
We had always done that before.
Here's what we're talking about. Put your hand down. You're not happy with $500. You want $1,000.
I do.
In getting $1,000 by the split, that means you get $1,000, and whether you want to give your son $1 or all 1,000 of it,
But he wasn't sitting at
everyone's
home on the
winning
couch.
here.
He was not sitting at home on a couch.
This is the issue. I've heard enough. Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel is going to come down in favor of the plaintiff. We start at $500 because you already offered that. The only question is she entitled to the other $500? To have a contract, you need offer, acceptance, consideration. The understanding between the two parties over a 2-year period was every week we were going to go, we were going to split the money, we were going to split the benefits. She made the decision, for whatever reason, she couldn't go. You had 2 options. You said, fine, but because you're not going, if we win, you're not entitled to any money. Then that would have put her in a position of saying, I'm not agreeing to that, I'm not going to give you this card. Then you said, fine, I'll go ahead and go, I'll spend my own money. If I win, I keep it all. That's not what happened. And see, this is a court of equity and fairness. And part of that is looking at the relationship over the duration of the 2 years. And everything was consistent up until this point. You made a decision to drive over there, get the monies, which meant her investment, she's entitled to half. You will pay her that $1,000. You both will see a benefit. If your son gets $1, he sees a benefit. Because he wasn't expecting anything, the wonderful son that he is, he just wanted to make sure mom was happy. This is a win-win for everybody. It's just unfortunate that sometimes we get so caught up, and well, I'm personally offended that we can't see a bigger thing here of the friendship, the relationship, the camaraderie. Bingo's not gonna be the same without her. I'm just saying.
I'll make new friends.
Okay. $1,000 is your judgment. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $1,000.
You know, I got my share of the bingo money. I'm just sorry it all ended like this.
Well, I hope the extra money she got is worth the price of our friendship.
Coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
You know, you may have some anxiety or, because right now you're a man and you're acting like a baby, which makes you a man baby, which means you're a maybe.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Mason Dillard claims he gave his younger brother a place to stay after his girlfriend kicked him out and says he's owed back rent. Mr. Dillard is suing Branson Dillard in the amount of $600.
What's going on, Mr. Dillard? Why are you suing your brother Branson?
Well, I'm suing my brother for non-payment of last month's rent.
And that's why we're here, Mr. Dillard. I'm going to call you Branson since I have 2 Dillards. Branson, what's going on with you and your brother Mason?
Well,
Were you living with him?
I was living with him.
How long had you been living with him, sir?
For about 2 months before.
Where had you been living prior?
Well, my girlfriend kicked me out of my house.
She kicked you out. How long had you lived with the girlfriend?
About 2 years.
2 years. You still in a relationship with her?
No.
Why did she kick you out?
I actually I had a startup with an escape room. I didn't make any money from it.
Okay. She kicked you out because she was like, I need you to help with the rent.
Correct.
So then brother comes along and
Well,
says,
actually, excuse me, Your Honor. Sorry, Your Honor. Actually, he calls me
of course.
and says, hey, bro, I'm down on my luck right now. I don't have anywhere to go. Can you help me out?
So the agreement was what? He would pay a certain amount every month.
Yes, sir.
What was the agreed upon amount?
Well, in the beginning, the agreed upon amount was $600 a month.
Is that true?
Yes, sir.
And did you pay the first month $600?
Yes, I did.
How did you get that $600?
Well, I started work at a factory as a.
So you said, I'm gonna give the entrepreneurial thing a rest.
Yes.
And I'm going to do a 9 to 5 like so many other folks until I figure things out.
Yes.
Smart.
Coming up on America's Court.
You lost the factory job or the driving job?
I lost the factory job.
Why'd you lose the factory job?
I was late.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Mason Dillard, who is suing his brother Branson Dillard for unpaid rent.
You have any kids?
No.
You're not married?
No.
So all you've got time to do is work.
Correct. And I wanted to, and I really want to. I don't want to be lazy. I'm
Okay.
not lazy.
Well, as they say, what the problem is?
Well, the problem started when, after 2 months of living there, struggling to pay the $600.
Why are you struggling if all you have time to do is work?
I was working at the factory. They only gave me a shift
So
at
you get
night.
a second job.
Well, I asked my older brother to let me borrow his car because he wasn't using it as much. And so my second job, I started driving for
Okay, so you were
ride
driving.
share.
Okay, so you were doing that. What's the problem?
I guess it's just bad luck.
What's going on with him?
Well, a lot of the reason why we're kind of right here, but from us getting mad at each other, I sent him a text message, which I have.
Okay, I'll take a look at that.
The proof.
And the text message was pertaining to what?
Me having to raise the rent because of excess use of utilities and things of that nature. And
The rent was $600. He paid that the first 2 months.
Paid that.
Month 3, you said, I'm going to go up on the rent.
I gotta go up. So
there was a month that he didn't pay anything.
it was when he lost his job, and when he came back and
You lost the factory job or the driving job?
I lost the factory job.
Why'd you lose the factory job?
Because we had an agreement about you.
Why'd you lose the factory job?
I was late. I'd been working the factory job. I had been.
Why were you late?
Well, I was late this time because he decided to take the car away from me.
That's convenient that you start with the one where you blame him. What about the other two?
The other two, I was honestly just,
You were just being trifling.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. Promotional consideration provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
I'm not going to factor in that had I only been late one time, I probably could have saved my job. I'm going to put the shift over to him like I put the shift to the girlfriend because it's everybody else has an issue. And I'm good. And you're not good. And I don't know if it's something where you may need to talk to someone in terms of if you're dealing with depression or low self-esteem or, you may have some anxiety or, but you gotta, because right now you're a man and you're acting like a baby, which makes you a man baby, which means you're a maybe. And no woman is gonna want you. And no job is gonna want you. And you're gonna have to make a decision at some point that the buck stops with you. You will pay your brother that $600. That is the order. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $600.
I'm glad the judge understood that my brother needs to get his life together, and when he does, I'll be there for him.
I think my brother's a little hard on me, but the judge is right. I need to man up.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter. This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.